Hello, Legion, it's Hadrian. Thank you for being here. Let's play Stellaris MegaCorp. The first post-apocalypse expansion has arrived, and along with it, the 2.2 Le Guin patch, so named for author Ursula K. Le Guin, continuing Stellaris' time-honored tradition of thematically naming major updates after science fiction authors. You remember how Stellaris 2.0 freaked everybody out and upended the game's travel systems from top to bottom, and changed how empires get around and what the default type of transportation is for everyone and all of that? Well, hold on to your hats. In true Paradox fashion, 2.2 has annihilated another major stalwart of Stellaris past, the planetary and tile management system. Yeah, it's been completely redone. So we have some more crazy changes to talk about. I'm not going to take more time on this than I need to, but for those of you who would like to know the basics of what's in the patch, I'm about to run down the list on your screen. If you'd like to skip straight to the next part, there are some useful timestamps at the bottom of your screen. So, as we usually do, we have two sets of changes to talk about, the ones you have to pay for and the ones you don't. I should note that as of this recording, I am playing a pre-release build, and thus any of the following might be subject to little tweaks, or possibly big tweaks, but most likely little ones, at the time of or after release, with hotfixes and so forth. Thank you, by the way, to the hardworking people at Paradox for letting me take an early look at this build. You guys are awesome. So, starting with the expansion features being introduced in the MegaCorp expansion, the paid features. The biggest one, obviously, is the headlining feature, the MegaCorporation government type. This is a trade-based expansion. So what this expansion really introduces is the concept of the galactic market, and not just the literal galactic market that you can buy and sell resources from, but the economic value of every pop and planet in the game, and ways to exploit those in deeper and more meaningful ways than was previously possible before the 2.2 patch. And the MegaCorporation government type is built for players that want to go all in on that playstyle, that want to win using money and trade. So that is the main new feature, is the fact that you can have a MegaCorporation. But obviously, in order to facilitate a new system like that, you have to have a whole bunch of things underneath, and we'll talk about that in just a second when we get to the free features. But also, as part of the MegaCorp expansion, there are some new Ascension perks. There's the Arcology project, which allows you to create an Ecumenopolis, which is a city planet city. There is xenocompatibility, which for the first time, species in Stellaris can crossbreed once you have this Ascension perk. Pretty cool. Haven't really read much more about it than that. I'm kind of excited to see what happens if we turn it on in this series. Not sure if I'm going to, but hey, it's there. And then universal transactions, which is mainly for megacorporations and allows you to have an easier time setting up branch offices and reaching out commercially to other empires. There are new megastructures. So there's the matter decompressor, mega art installation, interstellar assembly, which is just what it sounds like. It's a place where the galaxy can gather, and it grants empires that build it a kind of diplomatic weight that is very valuable. And there's the strategic coordination center, which is another strictly military megastructure that's been added. There are some new civics, Byzantine bureaucracy, which no, we are not going with that one. We'll take a look at it in just a second. But Byzantine bureaucracy, merchant guilds, and shared burden. And then there are caravaneers and slave markets. Caravaneers are a new type of roaming NPC, similar to the stagnant enclaves that you can still meet and interact with. And when the caravaneers show up, they give you really, really nice rare deals, but you can only make those deals when the caravaneers are coming through your territory. And then last but not least, there are new AI empires, there are new voices, there are new achievements, and of course, some brand new music from composer Andreas Waldetoft. So as for the patch features, the primary thing that you're going to be looking at that's different this time around is the planetary tile and pop system overhaul. I'm not even really going to go into this one that much because it took Martin 4 development diaries, 4, to cover all the details. We're going to look at it once the series gets going, but suffice to say, the old tile system is gone. The way that pops used to be manually micromanaged, depending on, in terms of where they worked, in terms of upgrading buildings, that wasn't related to pops, but the way you had to go into every single building on your planet and upgrade it, that's all been updated dramatically and also changed dramatically. So we'll look at that once we jump into the series in a moment here. The Planetary Edict and Decisions system has been overhauled. So edicts actually no longer exist at all. It's about planetary decisions, and those are different. They have different kinds of costs based on the new resources that have been added to the game, which brings me to advanced resources and economic changes. This is another overhaul that you're going to see more of once we jump in, but it's looking really, really, really good, and there's no reason for anyone to be concerned. It's a lot more in-depth and also more moddable, so there's layers of complexity that can be added that were not possible to mod before. There's more details on this in the development diaries, but it's really, really impressive stuff. The internal and galactic markets have been added, so I have at times when playing Stellaris made references to another one of my past in terms of space sci-fi and gaming, and that is Sins of a Solar Empire. And one of the main features of that game, as many of you might remember, is that you had access to a market at any point where you can buy and sell your resources, and it made it very easy for you to not have to wait for particular resources to build up. And that is one of the major gameplay differences now that Stellaris has hit version 2.2, is that you won't find yourself waiting until the beginning of a new month or the beginning of 3 months from now to hit that point where you're going to be able to purchase that ship or that building that you are looking to build. You now can, if you have another resource that can be sold on the market, either the internal Empire market or the galactic market, if you have access to it, then you have the ability to make a lot more happen sooner than you would have in the past. And that's reflected, by the way, in, I've noticed so far, the pace of technological growth, the pace of even planetary growth seems, this might be a balanced thing or it might just be in my head, but it seems to be almost a little bit lessened, a little bit reduced. It takes a little bit longer for things to develop, and I think it's because it is possible for players to be so much more purposeful in terms of what they're doing at any given moment. You don't have to sit back and wait for your monthly or yearly income, whatever it may be. Trade routes have been added and piracy have been reworked. Those are obviously huge features. We've been waiting for formal trade routes for a long time, and we'll talk more about the details of how those work once I can show you in the game itself. New technologies have been added to the tree to support all the new mechanics. One of the really cool things is that there are now technologies that boost the productivity of the stations that you build over resources in space. So before there were only ways to upgrade resource production on planets, now there are technologies that allow you to upgrade your resource production everywhere, which is kind of cool. And then there's a new value called administrative cap, as well as empire cohesion. But I wanted to mention administrative cap as part of this list because this is essentially, it has been tweaked from the old system, so it doesn't work quite the way it used to. But remember how there was always that arbitrary feeling that, okay, there are going to be certain penalties on my research and my empire if I just blossom outward in all directions and don't kind of calm myself down and make sure that I manage how quickly I expand. That was always a part of Stellaris gameplay. So if you were trying to go for a big empire and you grew too big too quickly, your research production would actually stagnate to a tremendous degree. And now, I'm happy to say, the administrative cap is a visualized way. It's a number that is on your screen at all times. It allows you to see much more clearly than you used to be able to see, and in a much more focused way, again, slightly tweaked, what exactly you're being penalized for and where the penalties start. So you can now keep your empire under a certain size, and the game will tell you what that size is at any given point. And then empire cohesion has been added as well, which I am still figuring out a little bit in the midst of, focusing on so many of these other changes. So we'll talk about that once we jump into the series and have had a chance to take a good look at it. Sectors and factions have been reworked. Sectors work very differently, as do factions. Again, we'll take a look at that in just a second. So, see, there's so much to talk about. I can't really go into detail. Imagine if I was trying to go into the detail that the average development diary does. It wouldn't go well. And there are just a ton of other balanced UI and AI updates. So it's really, it's quite the patch. So I took some time yesterday to play through 100 years or so of the new mechanics. Given that we're in a pre-release build, as of this recording anyway, I am not at liberty to give definitive impressions or a final verdict that would constitute a review, nor do I have much to say regarding either of those yet. What I will say is that so far, my impressions are extremely positive, and that I promise that saying they're extremely positive is not even approaching hyperbole. I do love this game, and so I'm biased in my support for Martin and his colleagues, but I'm being objective when I say things look good so far. The changes are many, but they have been easier to adjust to than I worried that they would be. Hopefully that comes as a relief to many of you who are looking at the, again, 4 development diaries that were dedicated just to the Planetary and Pop rework by itself, And I mean for it to. I mean for that to be a little bit of an encouragement. So out of respect for the review embargo, I'll leave it at that. Besides, you'll get to see for yourself in just a second. But let's go over the species and game setup, and then we will jump right in. So obviously, this is Roma Galactica II. Pretty big deal. The last time we played as the Roman Star Empire in a series on the channel, we were playing in the 1.5 Banks update. And obviously, this is the MegaCorp expansion. So a lot of you might be wondering if I'm literally going to dive in with a Roman-themed corporation. So Roman Star Empire, or the Romans with a corporate government type. And I went back and forth on this a lot. But particularly after playing the new update for a while, I realized that enough of the game's basic systems have been changed that it might be more interesting and more valuable to the average viewer, I think, to see how a more traditional or vanilla Stellaris Empire is managed differently than it would be to introduce all the new mechanics at once and also introduce the new government type. So we're going to play as the exact same Roman Star Empire as before. There have been a few tweaks to some of the civics and, well, not really. It's really just to the civics. I think the ethics are identical to what they used to be, or very similar. But otherwise, it's the same Star Empire. We did change the flag color. And just because, you know, Rome is highly associated with both red and purple, and last time we played as a very purple-themed Rome, and this time we're going to go with more of the red. So that's what I'm doing. If you're really pissed off about it, just think about everything I just went over a second ago that wasn't exclusive to the new government type, and I think it'll be okay. This is actually pretty cool to think about. Back when 1.5 was released, authoritarian ethics meant less resettlement costs and slave unrest. Now authoritarians grant additional monthly influence and they increase worker output a little bit. Militarist ethics meant ship fire rate and army damage were higher. Now ship fire rate is higher, but claim influence is cheaper. So actually claims are cheaper in terms of influence. That would be the right way to say that. And the army damage modifier is gone completely. It's even gone if you go to Fanatic Militarist, which is interesting. And then Materialist is still the same. You have higher research speed and lower robot maintenance costs. Those have not changed. Efficient bureaucracy used to boost core sector systems. Now it just boosts administrative cap. Police state used to reduce unrest by 20. Now it, as you can see, like everything else related to pops and planets, it's a bit deeper than that. So we're going to take a look at that once we jump in and kind of see how that helps us out in terms of stability and crime and jobs and all the systems that have been introduced in this amazing new update. So just in case you haven't seen the particulars of the Roman Star Empire, if you haven't watched Roma Galactica I, let's go over the biography of the species really quickly, just so you know what we're getting into. Rome never fell. Thus spoke the pens of 1,000 dreamers in the centuries following the empire's collapse, little more than whispered fantasies amidst shadows and dust. But in the early years of the third millennium, the human homeworld of Earth was brought to its knees by a maelstrom of nuclear fire. Today, with most other population centers leveled, protected by the technological schemes of an ancient order of knights loyal to Rome, the Eternal City stands unscathed, poised to rebuild the world. While Earth's surviving peoples unite under a secular vision of a singular world government, their new emperor looks to the stars to build the legions of Earth an empire worthy of their newfound unity. As you listen to that, you might have been thinking, Hadrian, you know they've added a new... what was it? It's a civic called post-apocalyptic that literally would play into the narrative that I just read. I decided not to go with that. Not because I want to keep things the same, but because I really did look at everything here to see if I wanted to change this at all. And I like these two the most for the Roman Star Empire. But post-apocalyptic has to do with a very recent kind of nuclear apocalypse. And I think what I'm proposing with my narrative is that, number one, they've done a lot to kind of clean it up. And number two, it's been a second since it happened. It hasn't happened yesterday. It's been at least 50 to 100 years. And yes, I understand that realistically, it takes a long time for like a tomb world situation to clear itself up on its own. So you can disagree with my decision on that if you'd like, but I decided it would be more fun to go with these two civics instead. I just want to address that really quickly. So that is our description. We of course have access to the SPQR name list this time, so we're going to use that. That's another difference. Traits wise, we are nomadic, adaptive, and wasteful, which is a standard human configuration for Stellaris, nothing different there. And then finally, we are on Earth, mammalian cities. We looked at the government and ethics. We are using the new soldier voice.
Hull integrity failing, decompression imminent.
There's that. Oh, I cut her off. I feel terrible. No, I don't. Roman Star Empire, Roman. So pretty straightforward stuff. At this point, we are using standard mammalian ships. The colors are going to be different because we changed our flag color. And of course, the ruler is Gaius Hadrianus. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump to the game details. We are going to play on a huge map. We are going to use 2 arms for our galaxy, not 4. We discussed that at length in the comments last time. I know. Milky Way has 2. Looks like 4, but it's just 2. You got to look at the center and see how many arms pop out of the center of the galaxy. Even though it looks like they're 4, they're just 2. I know. It's confusing, but now I know. And knowing is half the battle. So we also have 15 AI empires. I'm not going to do that thing I did before where I reduce it down to 6 for no good reason whatsoever. We have the option to randomize advanced AI starts, fallen empires, and marauder empires. We're going to do just that. So we're going to have 2 to 4 advanced AI starts, 2 to 4 fallen empires, and 1 to 3 marauder empires. None of these costs are going to be different. I have experimented, as you guys know, with cheaper tech tradition costs since this feature was introduced. I found that things went a little bit too quickly in Dynastic Divinity. So since we have had such a big change with this most recent update, we're going to keep things all at standard speed. Same with the mid and end game and victory year marks. We are also going to play on Commodore difficulty, which is a step higher than I've typically played in the past. That's just kind of to continue to give me a challenge. Yes, it's a little bit risky given that so much has changed and I'm learning the new systems and there could be things that throw me off, but to tell you the truth, I got comfortable enough with it in my first few hours of play that I think we are just going to go with Commodore difficulty. And that's that. We're not going to scale the difficulty, normal AI aggressiveness, random empire placement, not clustered. And then advanced neighbors will be off, so none of those advanced starts will be near us, but there will be 2 to 4 of them. And then finally, I did reuse my settings from Dynastic Divinity in terms of hyperlane density, abandoned gateways, wormhole pairs, etc., because I liked the way that that galaxy, which was also a huge galaxy, kind of turned out. I also reduced this new setting here, guaranteed habitable worlds, from 2 to 1. I could turn it all the way down to 0 if I really wanted to make things interesting, but at least this way we know there is 1 guaranteed habitable world that's going to be in the system's neighboring stars. Okay, that's how that works. And hopefully that's clear. That is the game we're going to go with. I'm going to jump in with this right now. Not bad. Okay, that's kind of what I was looking for in terms of our start location. It's not quite where you would find humanity on the galactic map. We're kind of out here on our arm, but we're towards the outside of the arm that we're on, and that's fairly close to where I would have liked to start. I also like this start location because we're kind of... it's going to be a little bit more challenging. We are kind of surrounded by other planets with the possibility that other empires could come in from really all 4, you know, if you want to use north, south, east, west as bearings, all 4 directions. So I will take that start, I believe. Let's begin just by kind of getting our bearings. First of all, some changes to the interface, as I'm sure you've noticed. The icons look a lot prettier, that's for sure. But this stuff is now over here. One of the things that I'm still getting used to is technology no longer has a hotkey. So that will hopefully be either changed or modded before long. There might already be a mod that allows you to play with that, but in case you missed it, that's one thing that has, that has me kind of still scratching my head a little bit. But let's see what we can do in terms of our decisions. We have Octavia Calventius, who's a field manipulation specialist. Appia Flavinius, who is a maniac, so she's just good at research in general, which as a researcher for my day job, I can confirm that is true. Voidcraft, also, Metius Laelius. Voidcraft is his expertise, so we'll be looking at that in just a moment. But for our physics project, we can go ahead and go for improved deflectors if we would like to take advantage of her expertise, or we can go for quantum theory, which would give us our early game physics research boost. I think I will go for the research boost first. It's saying no progress at the moment, but that'll change. Ooh. here's an interesting first choice to have to make. Biodiversity studies, genome mapping, planetary unification. I could do the same thing here. Yep. Okay, I have the same choice in all three, which is fairly common with these new technologies, I've noticed. And as you can see, there's multiple levels of this, so this is just level 1 of biodiversity studies. I think what I'd rather do here... Yeah, you know what? Let's go for planetary unification first. Let's get the additional monthly unity because that's still really handy for getting to Ascension perks sooner. And then I was really tempted to go for pop growth speed as our initial boost, and we will try to go for that next, assuming the option is available to us. And then here, I think I'm going to go for the nanomechanics boost. I don't know that I need either of these just yet. So there's that. Let's now take a moment to take a look at our fleet. This is the Verosis class frigate. Let's pull up the ship designer. First of all, we're going to change that name. Hey buddy, how's it going? It's our first interceptor. I think I will be okay with that layout. Laser on the back, 2 mass drivers, basic systems of course, but we are going to turn off auto generation, turn on auto upgrade, and we're going to rename you, let's see if we can find you. I kind of like Marcellus, but Servius. I like Servius, that's a good one. Alright, so there's that. Speculum, we'll keep that name for the initial station. Done. I'm just getting rid of the auto-generated designs so that they work properly going forward. And then the Servius class frigate. First of all, we will have to retrofit all of these, which will be super cheap, but we'll go ahead and do that. That order's been given. Of course, notice that the cost in that was in alloys, which is the new ship-related material that's been added in this patch. So we have so much to go over, and I don't want to click on Earth until we've all taken a deep breath and we're ready. But other than the technology change, some slight changes to the hotkeys. Obviously, there's an internal market already, so we can pull that up with F3 anytime. That's one of the reasons that the hotkey has changed, is you want to be able to pull that up quickly. So I do get that, but technology, you kind of want to pull it quickly too. So, maybe there is the possibility that some of these will move around. You can also lock this navigation bar if you'd like. I think I'll leave it off for now. I was able to play for a good while yesterday and really have no issues with this, but with this kind of retreating to the side. But it's nice that they added this for sure. So there's the market, and again, this is the internal market for now. It's just the market within our specific empire, but it does allow us to buy and sell any of these resources. This is the consumer goods icon, by the way, in case you were wondering. So we have alloys, we have consumer goods. There's also still influence and unity. All the icons, as you can see, have changed. There's also a slightly updated icon for research in general. And when you mouse over it, you can see the individualized bonuses. Over here, if you're wondering what this is the additional resources that can be discovered that are more advanced later in the game. Here we have administrative cap, we have empire systems, we have empire colonies, empire population, and of course starbase cap and naval capacity. So you ready? There it is. Give it a second. Just let it sink in. I'm going to try and show you this one thing at a time. But just take a deep breath and I'll explain what's different. Pops no longer are assigned to individual tiles. There's an entirely separate tab for population, right? And we have currently 2 rulers, 7 specialists, and 15 workers. 24 total population already living on Earth. And of course, there is a new pop growing. Looks like it's at a rate of 3 out of 100 per month. So it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while before that's done. It's going to be about 33 months exactly. 33.33 repeating. And once that's done, we'll have a new pop on Earth. What will that do? Well, as the population grows, you move towards new building slots, which allow you to build new buildings. Now, the thing about these is that they're not just single buildings like they were before. Notice that this one says research labs, plural. When you build something here, you're really kind of saying, this is a type of infrastructure that I want to specialize for, that I want this planet to specialize in. That's really what it comes down to. So notice that research labs, everything is so different now, but so much of it plays the same way. The overall function of this new mechanic and this new design for planets is to reduce the amount of micromanagement that you do when playing Stellaris in terms of tile upgrades, moving pops around to the best possible tile that they can work. The game manages a lot of that micro stuff for you now, while still giving you enough control over individual planets to give you a sense of, well, something to do. That's what you spent a lot of time in Stellaris doing previously, and it really annoyed the developers that all you were doing a lot of the time was clicking upgrade buttons, especially later in the game. So that has been de-emphasized in this new version. So while I've been talking about buildings and population and locked slots, you might have been slowly looking over here going, what is this? This is the part that makes the least sense to me, Hadrian. Explain this. So this is how every basic resource, and I mean basic, this is energy, obviously this is mining, and this is food. This is how each planet generates basic infrastructure-related resources. And then we have a number of city districts, that can be built. And how many districts you can build is determined, city districts specifically you can build, is determined by how much you develop the industry on the planet. So whether it's agriculture, mining, or generators, that is going to determine really how much you can do in terms of more cities, which is an important thing to balance out, because if you build additional city districts, notice that it gives you more amenities. Civilization 6 players, there is now a housing and amenities system in place in Stellaris, very similar to what we're used to. I kind of am thinking that they took a page out of Firaxis playbook there, and that's very common in the industry. I mean, they're both excellent strategy games. Why wouldn't they? And it's not the first time it's happened either. So in Stellaris specifically, when it comes to concepts that are in Civilization 6, and I believe vice versa, but hey, that's neither here nor there. The point is, if you have played Civilization 6, you're familiar with the concept of housing and the concept of amenities. These both now exist on planets in Stellaris. So you have to have amenities to kind of keep people happy, and you have to have housing in order to make sure populations continue to grow and planets don't overcrowd. So as you can see, Earth is still a size 16 world. What does that mean if there are not tiles anymore? It has to do with the district limit now, rather than the limit of pops that you can have on the planet and the number of buildings that you can build. Obviously, this is not limited by this anymore. This can go all the way up. If Earth has 75 pops, it doesn't matter if it's a size 16 planet or not. You can have a bigger or smaller planet that has a pop that large. You just might have overcrowding issues on a smaller planet that gets all the way down here. Trade value is represented here, and that is something I'm still figuring out myself, and it seems like maybe even the mechanics in terms of the current version of the game are still being deepened. But a lot to go over here. Obviously, resource production is listed down here. You can see how all of this stuff kind of balances out. Going back to districts and what these squares mean, by the way, these are the districts that I have currently built. These are the district slots that are available. So if I had the money to do it, right here, costs 170 minerals right now, I could build additional districts, which again would take away from how many city districts I could build, and those produce, as I was going to say a moment ago, trade value and amenities. So the more you build up your industry, the less likely you are to have a really vibrant urban population with people that are happy, and the more likely you are to have, those productive workhorse-style worlds that are maybe highly rural or highly industrialized or highly based on energy production. And so there's less of that sense of a cosmopolitan world where you would want to live if you just wanted to have a good time and have a sense of recreation and balance to your life. Work-life balance, in other words, if you don't build a lot of city districts, sucks. So just be mindful of that. Tile blockers are still a thing, and you can see them here in terms of district slots that are blocked by tile blockers. There are a couple of really new systems that have been added in this new patch. And one of my favorites is planetary features. And when I say new systems, obviously they're new systems. What I mean is little tiny details, things that they're kind of hiding right underneath the surface. But this in particular, yes, we have 3 blockers, and those will free up more slots for either generators or agriculture districts. As you can see here, we can clear up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, Sprawling Slums, Industrial Wasteland, and those will be replaced by new features. But otherwise, every single planet that you find in the game we'll just have a random list of features you can pull up using this exact same button right here. And it kind of shows you, these are all, see, this gives boost to the number of mining districts available. Same here. This is a boost to the number of generator districts. This is another boost to the number of mining districts, a boost to the number of farming districts because it's an irrigation project in the Sahara. What's amazing about this is that it really gives every planet that you find a kind of identity and a unique just self that it didn't have before. And so it really, really increases the sense of exploration. And I'm going to do my best as we find new planets to actually look at this and get a sense for what is each world that we discover really like, because that's one of the best things about it. This, by the way, is where rare planetary features are listed, and obviously Earth has no rare planetary features, unfortunately. So we have 24 pops. I'll briefly look at this, but then I want to jump in and actually start doing some stuff. So again, we have 2 rulers, 7 specialists, and 15 workers. Those work very specific types of jobs. The one thing I will say about this tab before I move on is that where these pops work is completely managed automatically by the scripting of the new system. So no longer do you have to move pops around yourself and tell them where to work. They will fill jobs according to their strata in society automatically. And one of the coolest things is that if you're playing as a Gestalt consciousness, or if you're playing as a hive mind, you have different planetary mechanics, completely different than this. This is a specific type of mechanic based on a living, organic, stratified society. Really cool stuff. So it's a very deep system, and it's a lot different than it used to be. So there's more that I could go over in terms of the planet summary screen, but we're going to take a second and start building on Earth. Well, we're not going to just yet because we don't have minerals for it, but let's make some decisions in terms of our ships. Maxima Plautius is piloting the Diodorus, our science ship, and she has a higher anomaly discovery chance, which I like to see. So let's have her go ahead and just start looking around. We're going to select move here. I wanted to take a second just to go over that now that we're looking at it together, and I know that it's been a minute since I dove in and started the game, but we're first just going to explore, and as soon as those of you who have seen me play Stellaris before know this, as soon as I find a system with maybe a habitable planet or a couple of habitable planets, that's when I'm going to say, whoa, survey that right now, and then keep looking around, because those are the first ones that I want to look for. Construction-wise, we definitely need minerals first, so let's go there. And then we're going to go up to speed...
Ships refitted.
2. Yep. Okay, so we just finished our refit. Also, let me go ahead and... Love this track so much. All right, there's that. All right, Lucius Hadrianus. We have a new heir. Let's take a look at that really quickly. So Gaius Hadrianus, we'll go ahead and unpause while this is happening. Not much for us to miss. Is our current ruler. He doesn't have any traits at the moment, but he does have the fleet expansion agenda. So ship upkeep is reduced, build speed is increased, and build cost is reduced. And Lucius, his son, I imagine, is a fortifier and an industrialist. So he's going to give us a mineral boost when he arrives in power. But Gaius is 27, so several years younger than myself.
Construction complete.
But he will be in charge for now. So the RSS Macedonia has completed the construction of a mining station. That's good. Let's go ahead and go now for a research station. So you'll start to see how these new districts and new mechanics play into our resource production very soon. So where are consumer goods coming from, you might be wondering? Well, if you look at the buildings specifically and what they do, research labs turn consumer goods into research points. So those get consumed in order to produce additional research points exclusively on planets. Of course, research is still produced in the traditional way by stations like the one being built around Ganymede. But alloy foundries turn minerals into alloys. So when you have a mineral surplus, you can either use the market or you can use additional alloy foundries, the construction of additional alloy foundries or upgraded alloy foundries to turn that excess mineral income into alloys. I have a really cool thing to tell you about the trade market, by the way, in a second when it comes to customizing your incomes, and I'll show you momentarily. Civilian industries, this is another basic building that you're going to need to know about. This turns minerals into consumer goods. So this is how the consumer goods are generated planet-side. And you have to have these buildings. Obviously, you can't go out and mine consumer goods from an asteroid. So it's a little bit different in that regard. Oh, there's another cool. Okay, Saturn's going to have a research station as well. So we have Ganymede here. Not a lot going on for Ganymede because it's a frozen world. So as you can see, that looks very similarly to how it's looked in the past. How does Mars look? Yeah, right now it's a terraforming candidate, so it doesn't look any different than others. And it looks like it's a size 13 planet. Oh, goodness, you're so slow. So slow. We'll make do, though. All right, so we still need a significant amount of additional resources to build our next building. I might go ahead and go for the Autoton Monument on Earth. So this will give us, as you can see, 2 additional culture worker job slots, and this will turn consumer goods into Unity and Society research. So this will go down, this will go up, and this will go up slightly. So I said I was going to show you something cool about the market. Let me pause and show you this really fast. See this? Add new monthly trade. Don't overthink this. You know what this is? You know what this lets you do? Completely automatically, if you have a resource that is reliably producing like a huge surplus, and you don't need it to produce that big of a surplus, and you have a resource that is really struggling, without doing any kind of micromanagement, without doing any kind of monthly tracking of it, or having to constantly do trade deals with other empires or enclaves or whatever, you can just come here and say, I want to set up an amount at which that income will be, let's say it's between minerals and food. You need less minerals per turn and more food per turn. You can just say, I want to swap out my production in minerals for my production in food every turn. That's essentially what it allows you to do. We'll do more of that a little bit later on, but that's a really, really cool addition in terms of the internal market that's been added. So in order to show you what I'm talking about in terms of buying and selling resources, let's go ahead and sell so that we gain some energy credits. I just sold some of my food, and now I can buy with that some minerals, and we no longer have to wait. I can even buy more if I wanted to, so let's do that. We no longer have to wait, as we used to, for that Autoton Monument, and I believe because I want the extra Unity, I will do this. We're going to go for the Autoton Monument on Earth, and we're going to go back to speed 2. Alright, so Science Ship hasn't found any oh, just kidding. Did I find... I actually wasn't paying attention when I was in Alpha Centauri, and it would be really weird if Alpha Centauri didn't have any habitable worlds. So let's send you back there really quickly. Okay, so we're going to put that at the front of your queue. And maybe by the time you get to Lictaban, we'll know. So we definitely do want to scout the Sirius system, but I want to see if there is a habitable world there. Okay, now we definitely need that energy. That is going to be a Mercury station. A station on Mercury, rather. I feel bad. We had to go over so many of the planetary mechanics. I want to have, a decent amount of gameplay in this first episode, but I also don't want this to go too long because I want to make sure it's
taking evasive action.
Uploaded and ready on time. Hey, that was quick. So, we have a hijacked fleet in Sol, the Grey Disciples event. Centuries ago, a group of radical priests and their devoted followers on Earth broke away from the established religions to form their own church. These extremists called themselves the Grey Disciples and have been responsible for many atrocities and acts of terror over the years. Although they have kept a low profile in modern times, we recently learned that many of their agents have infiltrated our military. These renegades have secretly been diverting resources to the construction of a small fleet of starships at a hidden facility on Earth. When their treachery was revealed, the cultists blasted into orbit on their ships and fled to Venus. Almost said Venice. They must be stopped.
New sitrep.
Okay, so let's pause for a moment and go ahead and hit these guys as hard as we can. It looks like we're already engaged in combat, actually. So down to speed 1. And yeah, we're already not only in combat, but we're engaged with the starbase here, so they don't stand a chance. That took no time at all. I actually want to go to Alpha Centauri, though. Cultist ship disabled. Our valiant space forces have skillfully disabled a ship in the cultist armada. It is mostly intact, and we're picking up faint life signs from inside its hull. So we can board the cultist ship.
Sitrep.
And I believe we need, we need the military ships for that, so we'll do that now. Alright, so there's the result of our combat. And they are boarding. Let's go ahead and reinforce the fleet. Now that we have the alloys for it, we've been producing for a bit here. Just want to see what's going on in Alpha Centauri. Also Procyon. I wasn't looking because we had so much to cover. And that will continue to be the case for probably the next episode or two. There's a lot of new little details to be added. Now, construction-wise, I do need you to go ahead and finish that mining station, please and thanks. And I guess we'll go to speed 2. Almost done with that. Seriously, how far away are you from Alpha Centauri?
Special project complete.
Boarding action. Though the survivors offered stiff resistance, our boarding party was able to secure several prisoners from the disabled cultist starship. From them, we have learned that this conspiracy goes far deeper than we initially suspected. The agents of the Grey Disciples include several flag officers and high-ranking officials within our government. You bastards. Mass arrests are being made on Earth, and all assets belonging to this cult have been seized. However, several of the starships they built in secret remain unaccounted for, and the upper echelons of the cult's leadership have vanished. We have picked up faint ion trails leading to several outlying systems. We must pursue these terrorists. So let's track. Okay, they are nearby. One of them is Sirius, actually, so the Sirius system, so that's good. Aha! Oh, 2 continental worlds. That's fantastic. See, I'm glad I went back. Let's go ahead and survey there, and then tell you what, survey in Procyon as well, and then survey in Sirius. Now that I found 2 continental worlds nearby, that's a great find for the first episode. Are they both around the same? Oh, good. They're both around Alpha Centauri Alpha.
Construction complete.
All right, so we finished our Autoton Monument, and we have our first tradition. Let's go for expansion. There have been some changes to traditions as well. Domination is now less vassal-related and more just about control. It's about maintaining order in your society kind of internally. So less love for vassal-related players and maybe feudal societies this particular patch, but I'm sure they'll be able to flesh that back out again in the future. So we're going to go for expansion so that our colony development speed will be boosted. I think that's the best thing to do at the moment since we just found those 2 planets. Class S1 fleet has been fully repaired. One thing I'm going to do is we're going to go to the Sol station. Notice, by the way, another change is that you now build construction and science ships at the starbases the same as the rest of your ship types.
Construction complete.
And we're down to 0 energy.
Construction complete.
Okay, I would really like to have... Oh, okay, I don't have as many alloys as I thought I did. Let's take a quick look here. Let me sell... Yeah, we'll sell a little bit more, and then buy some alloys. Not going to buy any more than that. That actually wasn't as much as I'd hoped, but we'll be able to get a new construction ship, which is what I'm waiting for soon enough, I think. Yeah, at 90. All right, so we have the RSS Gallus as a new science ship. Ooh. Mayo Lavinius. She's 35 and has Spark of Genius. So I don't have the energy to recruit you right now, but I can get the energy for that fairly easily. Let's sell some food. Boom. See how much more straightforward this is? It's interesting. A lot of the things that we used to spend a lot of time clicking around and doing in terms of the just upgrading of planets, now a lot more of that time is going to be spent just kind of moving your resources around and making stuff happen. And in terms of the flow of gameplay, it's going to be really different, not only watching, but playing. But not only will I get used to it, I think you guys will as well once we get into it. So let's go ahead and have Mayo hop onto this science ship. And let's have you survey Sirius right now, since we know those guys are there. And then I want to go over here with this construction ship so that we can build a starbase in Alpha Centauri as soon as possible. All right, so we have a bit of an energy credit problem, which has been fairly typical of my experience with the new patch so far. We don't need a lot more in the way of minerals. Cultist marauders encountered. Yet another cultist fleet loyal to the Grey Disciples has been sighted in the Sirius system.
Taking
Battle stations.
evasive action.
All right, let's pay them a visit. Also, let's go ahead and... Oh yeah, we can't recruit an admiral at the moment because we are so low on energy. However, again, we can change that. I'm not going to sell 250, but I'll sell that much just so that we can recruit an admiral. Fleet logistician? Yeah, that's going to be the way to go, given he's the youngest. Octavius Arius is our very first admiral, the first Roman admiral in Roma Galactica II.
Anomaly found.
Excellent. Efforts to map the surface of this planet have identified a strange mountain formation in the southern hemisphere. It does not appear to have formed naturally. Leave be for now. That's going to take a little bit too long. Right, come survey here in the meantime. And then I think it's time to go ahead and build our new construction ship. Yep, let's do that. So we're going to stay on speed 3 for a bit. while we're letting things proceed. So in terms of the pop growth here, actually wait, it might be time to go ahead and build a new district somewhere. We do need some more energy production. Yep, we're very close. There it is.
Construction complete.
So we've just queued up a new district. Aha! The RSS Diodorus has made a startling find on Alpha Centauri II. The planet is teeming with alien life. For the first time in history, we have encountered life forms that did not originate on Earth. This amazing discovery has silenced those who believe we were alone in the universe. Although none of the alien creatures found on Alpha Centauri II are sapient, it is likely only a matter of time before we encounter beings that are. By the way, in our current just world that we live in, does anyone read this sentence like I do and just laugh in their head? Like, no, it doesn't. That's not the way it works. That's not the way humans respond to evidence. We may not be alone out here, so we got some society research for that. And we're going to take our construction ship and head out to... I guess we'll head out to Lichtabon since we are scouting it at the moment. The Roman Star Empire is abuzz with news of the alien organisms discovered by the RSS Diodorus some time ago. While far from intelligent, there is life out there. Indeed. Exciting stuff. All right, so we're starting to lose energy, but don't worry, we can sell before we hit our critical shortage. Never able to do this before, but we can do it now. So we'll go ahead and do that there, and also sell some food. Isn't that beautiful? Notice that Earth's population has already grown, a little bit faster than in my first game, I think, or maybe I'm just playing on speed 3. But now we can, when we have the minerals for it, we can add some additional buildings to tweak our economy in certain fun ways. And useful ways, for that matter. What are you doing? I told you to go to Sirius. Why are you not in Sirius? I've been waiting for you to go this whole time. Maybe I gave an order and didn't realize it. Alright, so the generator district has almost been built. New colonies start with 1 additional pop. Yeah. Let's do that. There we go.
Fleet action underway.
Oh, they're actually fairly strong. Wonder how we'll do against them. Leaders gained a level, so the governor has leveled up. The governor of the core system. Yeah, so we're going to have to retreat from this combat. They are stronger than I thought they were. They're not a mobile force, so I'm not worried about them, but that's kind of annoying. Because they're right there in Sirius, and I prefer to be able to just expand and get stuff done this episode. But let's see what else we can do here. So we have the option to build commercial zones, which I think I'm going to go ahead and do. This is one building that doesn't get added automatically, but it's just as basic as research labs, alloy foundries, civilian industries, and even the Autoton Monument. Commercial zones give you additional trade value for the world, which is a lot more important, obviously, once you have trade routes, and amenities. That's the key thing, is having plenty of amenities as Earth continues to grow, especially if it's going to be growing somewhat rapidly. Alright, so we are about done, I think, with this first episode, but I want to take a moment to finish scouting Alpha Centauri. It's really great that we have 2 nice-sized continental worlds in our nearby star system there. I like that a lot. I'll talk a little bit more about the sector rework, once we get that far. But for now, we're going to let these survey projects finish. This must be a decent-sized system.
Recon
no, it's
pass
not.
completed.
It's just taking forever. There we go. All right, so now with that being done, you are checking out Procyon, right? Yep. All right, so this guy needs to build a starbase. Let's get that done so we can lock that system down. And we might even be able to get a colony ship underway to one of these 2 worlds. Probably Alpha Centauri II would be the first. Let's take a quick look, by the way, at what makes these worlds distinct. So we have a couple of tile blockers that once cleared, this one will give us an additional feature, which will give us more generator district slots. So we have hot springs, already 2 of them, so this will add a 3rd. Rushing waterfalls, ore-veined cliffs, prosperous mesa, rugged woods, and fertile lands. This is Alpha Centauri 2. And then Alpha Centauri 3. Hot springs, ore-veined cliff, rugged woods, and fertile lands. So same kind of world, only there's also some toxic kelp. And it looks like some of the same types of features are hidden by some of the other tile blockers, which we still have to research in the traditional way.
Anomaly found.
Okay, we're receiving a weak signal from the surface of this moon. The source appears to be some kind of tracking beacon. Research then, please.
Construction complete.
All right, so there's that. And with that being done, let's go ahead and queue up this first colony. We don't quite have the resources for it. We need what? Alloys. Let's have a quick look here. That's easily dealt with. Let's sell that. And we can't sell anything else if we want to. Well, actually, yeah, we can. Hang on. There we go. Sell. And sell. Oh, wait, no, that was a buy. Dang it. All right, there's that. So, if we now buy alloys, can we do it again? Yes, we can. Perfect. So now that gives us the ability to send a colony ship. We're not going to call it Alpha Centauri Prime. Let's see. I like Colonia Pacifica. Ooh, I like Colonia Aurora as our first colony name. Let's go for that. Colonia Aurora it is on Alpha Centauri 2. And with that, I will go ahead and stop this first episode here because we've got a lot of material in this first episode, and I know there was a lot of detail in terms of the new features. We'll get some more gameplay momentum going in the next one, and we'll also defeat those bastards that we need to defeat, frankly, because they're still right there in Sirius. And then we'll be able to maybe add a Tundra world to our territory before too much longer as well. Anyway, thanks for watching this first one. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. New episodes in Roma Galactica 2 are going to be coming out every other day at 4 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Now, right now, because of when the embargo lifted, the next episode will actually be tomorrow if you're watching these as they come out. But as a rule, it's going to be every other day at 4 p.m. Eastern. Again, thanks for watching. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.